Hi there and welcome to another knitting podcast episode. My name is Luisa, but everybody calls me Lu. And I didn't put a video out last week. It was a shame because I really enjoy sharing my knitting life with you guys. But life has been so busy this past couple of weeks that I just didn't have any time left to sit down, relax for a few minutes to record a video. But we are back this week with exciting updates on all my works in progress. I have one finished object and I am slightly worried that I chose the wrong size for my mom's polo. But we will talk about that later today. On the other hand, my cardigan project is quickly becoming one of my favorite projects that I have ever worked on, which is quite surprising because I certainly wasn't expecting to like this project as much. I also want to share with you my next cast on plans because I just cannot make up my mind. So I need your help to decide what I will be casting on next. And I also want to give a quick update on my porcelain sweater because the whole unraveling stitches saga is still not over yet. But let's start with the good news first. So this is my sea salt tea by Atelier Castin. The yarn I chose for this project was a new to me yarn. I had this cotton merino, this knitting for olive cotton merino in my stash for a while now in the colorway Dusty Blue Whale. And I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn. We will talk about the contrasting color in a little bit. But as I was saying, this yarn is a blend of 70% cotton and 30% merino. And it is lovely to work with it, though I did find a bit splitty at times, but not enough to annoy me. This yarn does benefit from a good soak. I guess that's because of all the cotton content, but the stitches evened out a lot and it filled in the gaps, let's say. So I really enjoy the fabric now that it has been blocked. I wasn't really feeling it before blocking, but after a good soak, I'm much more confident that I made the right choice of yarn for this project. I've already worn it a couple of times because there's a heat wave around Europe right now and it is so hot in here. So I finished this tea just in time for the heat wave, which was really good, and I can already say that it is really breezy and lovely to wear even when it's almost 30 degrees outside. So there is a really good thing. Now, when it comes to all the modifications I've made, I just added a bit of length to the body of this tee because I think the pattern is written for a cropped fit and I'm not really into the cropped style. So I added, now I can't remember exactly, but I just added a few centimeters, like 3 or 4 centimeters to the length, and I finished it off with a stockinette edge, which is what the pattern suggests. The only modification I made is that the pattern offers 2 options for the bind off, for the stockinette edge bind off. One option is kind of a invisible fold, invisible bind off, and the other one is a visible option, and I chose to go with the invisible option for all the stockinette edges, and I really like the look of it now. I wouldn't say it's invisible because you can see a line here where I've bound off my stitches, but I guess it's not as noticeable as the visible bind off option. One thing that I really like about this bind off is that it is stretchy. I don't think you can really tell now because I stretched this a bit when I blocked the finished object, but it has a little bit of give to it, and I think it gives a much more flattering fit, or maybe not really that flattering, but a much comfier fit, that's for sure. Now, talking about the sleeves, last time I showed you guys this project, I was debating going with a poppy blue color for the contrasting edge, and as you can see, I didn't go down that route, and now I have this lime green yellow situation that I really like. That's because when I was at the yarn shop trying to decide the yarn I wanted for the contrasting edge, I stumbled upon this yarn, which is actually the same yarn. This is also knitting for olive cotton merino, but this is the colorway lime yellow. It really looks neon on camera, but it is not. It's a cross between a lime green and a really bright yellow, but I think next to the navy blue color, it looks more on the green side than a yellow color. I don't know. What I do know is that I like it. I also got one skein of Filcolana Arveta, which was my initial idea for the contrasting edge. This is colorway 142. I think the colorway name is Periwinkle, if I'm not mistaken. So I was trying to decide between these two colors. And I don't know, when I got home, I just felt like this poppy blue color felt a little next to the navy one. And also this Filcolana Arveta yarn isn't the same thickness as the cotton merino by Knitting for Olive. This is just 210 meters for 50 grams. So this yarn is a little bit thicker. So I decided to go with this lime yellow, which is not only compatible since this is also Knitting for Olive cotton merino, but I really enjoy the contrast of these two colors next to each other. I don't know, it just spoke to me at the time and I felt like it added a fun element to this piece. So that's what I chose, and here I am now, and I am really glad I did that. I see this tee as the perfect everyday piece that I can wear throughout summer, all weekend long, and be happy with it. So I really think adding a little pop of color and doing something fun, I don't know. I just really enjoy the final look of this tee. Like I said, I also finished it off with the invisible bind off option, and maybe I can show you guys up close. Maybe you can see it like this. I really like the finishing look of this contrasting edge. Oh, and one thing that I almost forgot to mention is that when looking at the pattern photos and some project photos on Reverie, this stockinette edge, I don't know, it felt like it was flaring out a little bit on some projects and especially on the pattern photos. So I decided to size down my needles right before starting the stockinette edge. I knitted this tee on a 3.25 millimeter and I sized down to a 2.75 millimeter for all the stockinette edges and for the collar as well. I don't have anything special when it comes to the color, it's just the same invisible bind off. I was a bit worried that it was going to flare out a little bit because it is a color, it has to go past my head every time I wear it, and this yarn is 70% cotton, so I didn't really know what to expect when it came to the color, but at least so far it is behaving really well. And I'm not having any issues with the color flaring out or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if I had to add a little bit of elastic in the near future. Just one thing that I maybe could have done differently is that I changed the pickup rate around the collar, and I guess I should have just followed the pattern because I was worried it was going to be maybe a little bit tight, or not really tight, but I wouldn't have as much room around my neck as I could see on the pattern photos. So I picked up, I think, all stitches around the neckline, and around here, the front of the neckline and the back, I think it looks really good. But on the sides of the neck here, I think I could have picked maybe 3 out of 4 stitches or something like that, just so I didn't have as many stitches here on this vertical edge, just to prevent any flaring out issues. But like I said, so far so good. Just one thing that I was expecting to look a little bit different is the amount of ease I have with this project. I was expecting to have a little bit more ease. Right now I think it fits really nice on me, if I do say so myself, but I was expecting to have just a couple more centimeters of ease, but at the same time I think this is going to stretch a little bit with wear, so I think in the end everything is going to be fine. It did already stretch a little bit the first time I wore it. Now, talking about the little mistake I made on the sleeves, I shared all about this mishap last podcast episode. But now that it has been blocked, I don't think you can really tell that I messed up my stitch counts around here on both sleeves. It's not the perfect fit here when you look at the sleeves, but I think it's barely noticeable. I don't think anyone is going to notice when they look at me wearing this shirt. And I can barely see it when I look in the mirror, so I am completely fine with that. Maybe I can show you guys here. It looks much better now that it has been blocked, but there's still a little bit of fabric bunching up here because of the decreases I made to get back to the right stitch count, but well, I am not worried about it at all. And since this is a finished object, let's go ahead and talk about how much yarn I've used and the cost of this project, starting with how much yarn I've used. For the blue color, this dusty blue whale, I've used 207 grams of yarn, plus the lime green color, which I've used 13 grams, that equals to 1,100 meters of yarn. The pattern calls for 1,018, so it makes sense to use a little bit more yarn considering that I lengthened the body, so that was to be expected. And now talking about cost, I've paid 35 euros and 58 cents for the yarn. I'm talking about both colorways together, and I also paid for the pattern, which cost me 7 euros and 74 cents. So in the end, this project cost me 43 euros and 32 cents. And I already know that I'm going to wear this a lot. I already wore it like 3 times last week because of this heat wave. So I'm completely fine with the final cost of this project. So now let's change it up and talk about my mom's polo. This is the Petra Polo by PetiteKnit, and I'm knitting it out of stash yarn. I had this cone of Holst Garn Supersoft in the colorway Sage Blue, and I'm pairing it with one strand of lace weight alpaca. I chose Filcolana Alva in the colorway 368 Eucalyptus, this lovely medium to light green. So this is my yarn combo for this project, and I really like the marled effect these two yarns paired together create. I finished the body, which is quite exciting, and I've also started the first sleeve. The only modification I've made so far is that I lengthened the body by about 5 centimeters or so because my mom likes really long garments, so that's what I did here. And I finished it off with a 1x1 rib with an Italian bind-off, which is exactly what the pattern calls for. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the pattern calls for a tubular bind-off. I don't really know the difference between a tubular and an Italian bind-off. I think a tubular bind-off is when you have those two setup rows where you knit one stitch and slip the second one, and you do that across the row or around. I don't know, I could be wrong, but the pattern has you do those setup rows, and I just skipped those because I don't really like the bulk they add to the edge here of the bind-off. So I just went straight to the Italian bind-off, and I really like the final look of it. Right now it looks a little bit weird on the mannequin because half of it has been blocked and this bottom section of the body is still unblocked, so you can still see this line going across the chest here, which is not really ideal, but it will block out eventually. The only thing, like I said, that I am not 100% sure is when it comes to the size I chose for her polo, because right now when she tries it on, by the way, I had her try this on like 20 times now, and everything was looking just fine. It was exactly what she had in mind until I finished the body. I bound off all the stitches and then I had her try it on one more time, and now she thinks it looks a little bit snug. Not snug, that's not the right way to describe it. It's just that she was expecting to have a little bit more positive ease with this garment because my mom likes her clothes to fit really oversized, which is not what the pattern calls for and not what I prefer for myself, but that's what my mom wants, and it was what I was trying to achieve, but maybe I made the wrong decision when I chose the size. We'll see. This is the back, and in my opinion it fits really nice on her, but she wants to have more positive ease. but we'll see if when I block this, the stitches will relax a bit and I'll get a bit more width on the body. I don't know. If this doesn't work out, I don't know what to do because I already finished the body, but we'll see. I'm trying not to think about this right now and just block this when it's time, and we'll see what happens. But talking about the sleeve, let me just turn it to the side a little bit so you can see the sleeves better. I've already started the first sleeve and I still don't know how I'm going to proceed here on the sleeves because my mom, like I said, likes her garments to have much more positive ease than what the pattern calls for. So I think I'm going to change the decrease rate here on the sleeves. Right now I've just done 2 decrease rows or rounds and they started around here. So I figured this was an easy way to change the fit of the sleeves, just delay starting the decreases, but we'll see if there will be enough to get the fit she has in mind. I am liking the look of it so far. I already have a few options for the buttons, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The only thing I don't really enjoy when I am working on this project is that this cone of Holst Garn Supersoft is quite scratchy on my hands before blocking, so I can't really work on this tee for many hours on end. I always have to stop for a couple of hours to do something else. So there is a bit frustrating, but I think this yarn really softens up with blocking. So this top section here of the body is much softer and it looks nicer even than the bottom section, but everything will even out when I block this once this project is done. And I think this is pretty clear now, but this is not a surprise knit because those don't work for me. I need to have more control of the fit of a garment when I'm working on something. So knitting one project from start to finish without at least one try it on just isn't for me. I can't do this. It's too stressful. I am always thinking something is going to go sideways, but by the time the recipient tries it on, it's already finished, so I can't really go back to change anything. So to knit things blindly, it's not for me, but my mom is fine with that. She was the one who chose this project for her gift knit, so she's completely fine in that department. And now I need your help because I've got some buttons for her polo and I cannot make up my mind. I wanted to add the buttons without asking her preference, just to have at least one part of this project that is in fact a surprise. So I got a bunch of options online. Actually, I discovered that Drops, the same company that makes yarn, also has buttons. They have a lot of buttons actually, and I really liked many options, so I got a couple for her project. Let me just find them here because they all came in this cardboard box and it looks fine, but it's a mess. I cannot work with this mess here. This is annoying. I need to find a better solution for storing buttons, but let me just get the options I have for her polo. And the first option is, this is one I already had in stash. This is like a just brown regular button. Let me turn toward the window so maybe you can see. Yeah, the edge of it is a little shiny and the center point is matte. And I got 2 options from Drops. The first one is this gray one, let's say, completely matte. I don't really like the white section right in the middle, but I think I can hide that when I attach the button with the yarn. I can maybe do a few passes here right in the middle and hide this white section. And I also have this brown mocha color maybe. I added tags to the buttons so that I know what my plans are for each set of buttons, because I got a few different options for like 6 different cardigan projects that I plan on working on this year. But I don't know, maybe if I show you guys like this. No, this is a terrible way to show you the buttons. I will add some B-roll footage of these options, and maybe you can help me decide which one is the best fit for this polo. But this is my mom's polo for now. I will finish this week or maybe next week, but this is it for now. And now let's talk about my cardigan project. This is the Frost Lines cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and I am knitting it out of a new to me yarn that I'm really enjoying. This is the Rerum Natura Gilliatt in the colorway Granit. This lovely medium to dark gray, maybe? I don't know, I am terrible at describing colors, but this is my main yarn, and I am pairing it with 2 other colorways from this same yarn. This pink one is called, I have the labels here because I only have these 2 balls. This label, this colorway is called Clay in French. I won't even attempt to pronounce that, but this is it. And this maroon color, almost brown, maybe wine color, is called Amarante, maybe? I don't know. But it is also Gilliatt. I am loving this yarn. It is really bouncy. It really blooms with blocking, and it also grows a lot. I got 10 extra centimeters width-wise with blocking. So right now I finished the body and I already picked up stitches for the button band, but I still have not started the button band yet because it's kind of boring to knit a double knit button band, but I love the final look of it, so it's worth it. But well, I just put it off for a couple of days, so maybe I will cast on for the button band today, who knows. But this is it. The body is completely finished and blocked, and I love the look of it so far. I am knitting it exactly to pattern. I haven't made any modifications to this project as of yet, and I couldn't love this more. When I started this project, I wasn't really in love with these 3 colors together, but now that I have a finished body, I just think it looks so good, which is a really good feeling to have. It's the best kind of surprise, and I just love this project. I can't stop looking at the viewfinder over there. I can't wait to have this finished and ready to wear, because although this yarn, I think it's worsted weight, I think I'm going to wear this a lot during spring, summer and fall. Maybe not as often during summer, but I still think I can wear it a few times during the season. So we'll see. But I just love this. Let me show you up close, because I think this project really deserves a closer look. So maybe if I show you like this. Yeah. This fabric just looks so nice. I love the way this pink color looks next to the maroon and also next to the gray. When I cast this on, I was almost regretting this pink color. I felt like maybe I should have chosen a orange tone just to be closer to this wine color and not have as much contrast between these 2 thin stripes. But now that I have a finished body, I am really glad I chose this light pink. I don't really like this shade of pink on its own, but next to these 2 colors, I really think they complement each other really well. The only modification I made, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not really a modification, but the pattern has instructions for a cropped length and a full body length, and I went with the full body version, so this is what I have here. Not really a modification, like I said, since the pattern has instructions for that, but I just wanted to say that that's what I did. I added 8 centimeters to the length of the body when compared to the length of the cropped version, and I think it hits me at a really nice spot. I don't have as much positive ease with this cardigan. I was expecting maybe to have a little bit more positive ease, but I think that's actually a good thing because the V-neck here is not as deep as some V-neck cardigans are. So I think once the button band is in, I can maybe get away with wearing it as a sweater with the buttons closed and not exactly need to have a layer underneath. So maybe I can get away with just this cardigan closed. That would be nice, just to have some flexibility in terms of the wearability of this piece. So I'm actually enjoying the fact that I don't have as much positive ease. And one thing that it's really good when it comes to the yarn is the hem here is worked in 1x1 ribbing, which at least when I'm knitting 1x1 ribbing, it really depends on the yarn. With some yarns, they look really nice and polished, and with other yarns, it's just terrible. But with this one, I really think it looks neat. I should have showed you guys this when I took it off the mannequin the first time, but now you can see it looks really polished and neat. My knit stitches look even. This has been blocked, so it adds to the evenness of the stitches. The only thing I got annoyed when I was working on this is I like to weigh all my balls of yarn when I break into a new one, just because I like to have as much information as possible when it comes to my projects. And according to the label, each ball of this yarn is around 100 grams. I don't really understand how it can not be a precise weight and meterage because this is all machine made, but I won't get into that. I'm sure there's something I am not taking into consideration. But when I put this on my scale, it showed me 88 grams, and I'm fine with the label saying 100 grams and my scale showing 98, 97. I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I can live with that. But 88 grams it's too much of a difference. And I got really annoyed when I saw that on my scale, but what can I do about it, right? I just hope I have enough yarn to finish both sleeves and work on the button band. But that's just something I wanted to share because I have never seen such a big difference between the real weight of a yarn ball and what the label says. Now, when it comes to the button band, this is a double knitted button band, and I have two options that I also got on the mail. And the first one, they're both drops buttons, and this first option is the same one from my mom's polo, but this is bigger. This is like 23 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I have little labels here that I've written down. Yes, this is 23 centimeters. Yeah, both are 23. And I also have this same mocha option. So I have these two options for this cardigan, and I don't know. I think I'm going to go with the gray one just because it looks more blended, I would say. I don't know. I will add some B-roll footage just to show you guys a little bit better. But this is my cardigan so far. I'm really excited about it. I think this is going to be really easy to pair with layers underneath if I want to wear it open. I can also wear this closed. This is a raglan cardigan, which I love. This is a cardigan, which I also love. This is really quick and easy project. It has stripes, so it has this really potato chippy vibe. So I think this is the perfect cardigan. And I already want to cast on a few more once I finish this one. But this is it for now. So now let's talk about my next cast on plans, and let me give you a quick update on my porcelain sweater. Alright, when it comes to next cast on plans, I cannot decide if I want to cast on a tee, which would be nice to have another thing ready to wear now that it's getting really warm in here. But I'm also really excited to cast on another cardigan. This is Lana Grossa Eco Puno. I think I already showed you guys this yarn here on the podcast when I first bought it. but this is a cotton, wool and baby alpaca blend, and I'm really excited to cast on another cardigan using this yarn. I have my eyes on the Rainy Day cardigan by Sari Nordlund, so maybe I will go ahead and cast that one on, or maybe not. Let me show you the yarn composition. Yeah, I don't know. That could be an idea. This Rainy Day cardigan is also a raglan construction, so I really like that. I love to work on raglans, and I've already said that I wanted to add a couple to my wardrobe, so that could be an idea. Or I could cast on a tee. I don't really have my eyes on anything right now, but I need to spend a few hours on Reverie browsing through tee projects, so that could be also another idea. But I think a third option would be to cast on a cushion, a pillow or of sorts, because last week I met with a friend of mine to fix this porcelain sweater here, and she helped me a lot. So I was thinking of maybe casting something on to gift her as a thank you for trying to save my porcelain sweater. It didn't really work, but I didn't tell her that because I think it would be kind of a bummer. And she was so nice with me, so I don't know. I was thinking about maybe gifting her something handmade as a thank you for helping me. She said she doesn't have anything handmade around her house, so I felt like maybe a cushion would be a good idea. I thought about casting on the Stella quilt cushion. I want to cast that on for myself, so maybe it would be nice to cast that on for her as well. And I don't have to worry about size, but well, I don't know, maybe you guys could give me your suggestions. Now, quick update on my porcelain sweater. We tried to run this thing through her sewing machine and it didn't work at all because it got stuck under the needle. We couldn't make it work. We tried many different stitches and stitch lengths and everything. None of it worked. So we ran this sticks through her serger, and that's the final look of it. I mean, I'm not 100% convinced this worked, especially when you look at the edges here. I don't think they are safe from unraveling. So yeah, and it looks messy. It doesn't really look pretty at all, but I'm not really worried about this thing looking pretty because it's on the inside. I'm never going to see it anyway, but I don't think my stitches are secured enough. So I want to run through the sewing machine here between the serged edge and my body, let's say. I want to run through the sewing machine, but I don't own a sewing machine. With her machine, we couldn't make it work. So I don't know what to do. This is going to be in my closet for a while until I either buy a sewing machine. Maybe this could be the push I needed to finally buy a sewing machine, which is something I've been wanting for a really long time, but who knows. And if I don't buy one, maybe I could rent a sewing machine for like a couple of months to fix this, and then I just give it back. Because if I'm being honest, I'm not really ready to start sewing right now, so maybe I could just rent one and buy a sewing machine in the future. That could be an idea. I don't know what I'm going to do. So this is going to be in my closet for the near future until I make a plan of how to save this sweater. But at least with the serged edge, I think my stitches are a bit more secure. I don't think it's enough to start wearing this. I think my stitches would unravel, but I think it's better than nothing. So this is it. This is my porcelain sweater so far. So I'm going to put a pause on this project and we'll see what happens in the future. But this is it for now. Thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me. If you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, leave a comment down below and help me decide on a button and my next cast on plans, because it's too hard for me to do all of that alone. It really helps the channel and I really appreciate it. I will see you next week with a fresh new video, and until then, happy knitting. Bye!